Hey there, it's Jared Hamilton with the Hamilton Group at Cherry Creek Mortgage, and welcome to another edition of Java with Jared. Hope you guys are doing fantastic. Well, happy Friday. Happy last day of February. It's February 28th, and we're going to be starting March here on Saturday. Wonderful weather outside. It really gets me thinking about spring, and with spring comes the home buying season is going to be underway here pretty soon, and I actually think it's going to be a pretty good one. We'll probably see pretty good interest rates. I'll talk about that a little bit more at the end. But interest rates are better at the end of this week than where they were at the end of last week. Today we're under a little bit of pressure. Rates are suffering a little bit, but we've seen 6 days of very positive movements in interest rates, which is real good. Today they're suffering a little bit, but overall things are pretty good. Now interest rates are under a little bit of pressure here today, and that's all because the stock market has been doing great. Last night, on Thursday night, the S&P 500 set an all-time closing high, and right today we're in all-time intraday highs. So the stock market has been doing pretty good, and usually when the stock market does well, we see interest rates suffer a little bit, and that's what's happened over the last 24 hours. The reason the stock market is doing better is that Janet Yellen was doing her second day of testimony. Normally they're on consecutive days, but a couple of weeks ago when she testified in front of the House, the next day she was supposed to be in front of the Senate, but that was postponed due to weather. And Janet Yellen is basically blaming all the kind of weak economic data that we've seen. She said this yesterday that that could all be due to the weather. So everything's being blamed on the weather because we've seen some pretty weak overall economic numbers. And Janet Yellen was saying that, well, that could be due to some of this harsh weather that the East basically has been experiencing, in other parts of the country too. I guess the South has also been getting hit by some pretty good storms. We've been okay, but everything's being blamed on the weather, and so she basically stated that, we'll have to see if it's fundamental economic underlying weakness or is this just blamed on the weather. Stock market liked that maybe it's just all due to the weather and the economy is doing better than what the numbers are pointing out. And so it rallied and finished higher, and we'll see if that continues. We'll have to wait another couple of months as we see more economic data pour through to find out if it is fundamental underlying weakness or if it was really blamed on the weather. So we'll see. A lot of news that came out this week. Last week we saw some housing data come in with building permits and housing starts, so new construction stuff, and it was pretty weak. This week we saw Case-Shiller come in, and that showed a real good number. The 20-city index year-over-year number was at 13.4% of an increase, and so that was pretty good. It was a little bit off maybe some of the high paces, but still showing real good appreciation on the year-over-year numbers. The month-over-month number showed an increase of 0.8%, and that also is pretty good. That's just a good solid number. So Case-Shiller index looks pretty good. Now locally here in Denver, the Denver index came in slightly lower. It was showed a negative number of 0.13%. So nothing huge, but just maybe not showing as much appreciation as other parts of the country, but nothing to be very concerned about. We also saw consumer confidence that came in a little bit lower than expected. New home sales, and this was a bit of an anomaly. That actually came in much stronger than expected at 468,000 units, and it was a much stronger number than last month. And that measures, again, that's a new construction number. It measures contracts placed in January for closings to happen in the future for new construction. So even though building permits and housing starts were down and consumer confidence of builders were down last week, this number showed a pretty good number, so a bit of an anomaly. Pending home sales, that showed an increase of 0.1%. That was off the expected number of an increase of 0.8%, but a lot better than what happened last month, which was a decline of 8.7%. So huge decline the previous month, and that did not continue into this month. Advanced GDP, so it was a revised number, the fourth quarter GDP, that was revised lower. So that was revised to 2.4 versus the 2.6. So, a little bit of weakness. So a whole bunch of whole bunch of numbers that are all conflicting. Oh, another thing that was kind of strange is that even though that pending home sales were up and contracts were up for new construction, MBA releases the application index, and that showed applications were actually down pretty considerably. So again, just a lot of conflicting data, and and no one really knows how to sort this out. But bottom line is, interest rates are fantastic. And on that, again, we're getting into spring. Get with your clients. Let them know that interest rates are great. They'll probably continue to be great. So, now is a wonderful time to buy a house. We've seen some appreciation, so you can sell your house for more than what you planned. You can buy a house and finance it at great rates and keep, from experiencing a higher interest rate later and actually more appreciation, because we are seeing appreciation. So start calling clients. Now's the time, because, again, the summer home buying season will be upon us before we know it in spring, now's the time to get in touch with your clients and make sure that they use you when it comes to selling and buying a new house. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, please give us a call. We're always happy to help. If you're working this weekend, so are we. Thanks for joining me with Java with Jared, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.